ASAD MALIK here from Behind the Gloves. Always delighted to be joined by world-renowned trainer Dominic Ingle. First and foremost, Dominic, we are at your home city of Sheffield. How are you, first of all?
Favourite film, Trainspotting.
Trainspotting?
Favourite film, yeah, Trainspotting.
Have you seen part 2?
No, is it good?
It's amazing. I watched it a week ago.
Yeah?
It's really, really good.
Well, on your advice, I'm going to watch that next week.
Definitely. Straight into it, first of all, Dom, Kid Galahad, on the card tomorrow. A nice sort of fight, bigger incentive on the horizon, 22nd of December. What's his mentality going into this fight?
Yeah, listen, every opponent in front of you is a potential banana skin. Really doesn't need to take this fight because he's already in line for a world title fight, and some people might think it's a risk, but he wants to get a run out. He's been in the gym since he came back from America, and he's got to have some kind of release from that. Eddie said we'll get you on in Sheffield, whet the appetites of the home crowd for when he does box for a world title fight. So he's got everything to lose and nothing to gain from this fight, but it keeps him in the positive mindset and it keeps him on it, and he's going to go on and put on a show in front of his own crowd.
Dom, do you think there's a risk of this fight? He could potentially overlook this opponent for tomorrow night, or is he focused? How's he been in the gym?
Well, you could assume that, but the thing is, no matter what, whether it's a sparring partner or somebody who's not on the same level as Barry, you can never underestimate anybody because it'd just be safe to say we don't need that fight. But he trains and he wants something at the end of it. And this kid's a tough kid. He's been in with a few of the English kids. He's been with Balotti, so he's decent. He's awkward. He'll give Barry something to go at, and we'll just see on that. But he'll never overlook kids like this. You can't afford to overlook anybody. He's trained, as you've seen on the scales today. He's looks in great shape. He's coming, a bit heavier than he normally does. He's 9'6", but he's never going to come in at championship weight for one of these fights. But he's in good place and he's fit and strong.
Dom, so 22nd of December, that's just a couple of weeks away now in Manchester. Is that a fight that yourself and Barry will be attending to keep a close eye on?
Well, I'm on that show. We've got Liam Williams fighting against Mark Efron, and there's also a possibility of Billy Joe Saunders getting a run out on that one in a 6 or an 8 rounder. So I'll be there, and I'll obviously be getting ringside seats for watching that fight. Be interesting to watch. It's a 50-50 fight. It's a case of Frampton, has he got the motivation and dedication he had when he was coming through against Warrington, who just won the title, and he's took his time getting there, but he's hungry. He's a good fighter. He's a pressure fighter, and it's going to be one of them. You can flip it on a coin to see who's going to win, but I'm edging towards Warrington. But if Frampton's got anything left, any kind of what can I say, motivation to do it, then he could at his best I think he would outbox Warrington. But it's just whether Frampton's still got that desire. If he's still got the desire, I think he'll outbox Warrington. But if he gives Warrington any inch, Warrington will be on him. So it'll be an interesting fight to see.
Do you think the fight then, obviously that puts Barry in position, he then becomes the mandatory challenger, IBF. Now, Barry, speaking in the past, and a lot of other people do think that neither man will give him the shot. They'd rather vacate the title and move on to other fights. If that does happen, is it IBF route you're still going for, or are you looking at other sort of routes?
I think that it's not a good fight for either of them, whoever wins. I don't think Frampton would fight Barry if he won, because he's ducked Barry before. Warrington is the champion. I don't think it's a fight he particularly won, because if he beats, he's won the title, he's beat Selby. If he beats Frampton, in his mind he'll probably thinking, well, really, Kid Galahad, I've beat 2 kids who are good kids, I'll beat this kid. It's probably not a fight that he wants, but I think it's a fight that he'll probably take if he has to take it. If there's no other option for him, Frampton will probably go and box somebody else. He'll probably go and box, want to box one of the Mexicans in America, one of the champions. But when it comes down to fighting Barry, he won't want that. I think there's more chance of Warrington doing it. He's got a lot of pride. He's beat Barry twice in the amateurs before, so I think if he has to take it, he will do.
John, this is the first time, obviously, moving on off topic from Kid Galahad, first time I've seen you since the announcement of Brook and yourself. Obviously Brook's fighting tomorrow. Just wanted a little sort of background. How did that happen? And
he's Kel's 32 now. He's had a great career. He's been in the big fights, and he's on the comeback. We had a good fight in his last comeback when he boxed Fabchenko, and since then other kids have come to the camp. Or before that, Billy Joe Saunders, Jason Quigley. I've had a few kids coming through, and the stable is busy. At the time when Kel started this camp, I was in Boston, with Kid Galahad and Billy. And Kel needs to start his camp. He went to Fortaventura, and it was a case of me coming back from Boston, going straight out to another camp for 3 weeks, which I didn't really fancy. And I think Kel realised as well that there's always been a chance. There's always a chance that people are going to move on. And I think he just wanted to try something different. He told me about it. It was not going to be a fallout. At the end of the day, he's coming to the end of his career. He wants the big fights. He's been wanting the big fights for a long time, and he's got to make the choices what he thinks are best for him. And it's almost like the parent and child thing, where you want the best for your kids, and you think sometimes you're doing the best for them, but sometimes you just got to let them branch out on their own and let them learn for themselves. And Kel knows enough to beat this kid. Even on himself, he's got people training him. He's in good shape. I've seen him weighing today. He's got Greg Marriott, the nutritionist, who's got him in great shape. But as time gets on in boxing, the things that you rely on, the power and the speed and the timing and coordination, they do diminish as you get older. That happens with every fighter. And Kel does go a long time in between fights. He was March that he boxed last, so we've gone on a time. So I think this kid's going to come and give him a good fight, but I think Kel's going to be too much. Going to know too much for him. And like I've said in other interviews, that's all right. But if he's going to go into the big fights, into bigger fights than this, no disrespect to John Fuchs, you have got to have experience of big fights. Look at Ben Davison. A lot of people were saying, Ben Davison, they need some real lot of experience. Well, Ben Davison did have experience. He'd been in the corner with Billy Joe Saunders previous to that, and he'd been in fights with Tyson twice before that, so he knew Tyson inside out. And sometimes it's about knowing the fighter. Tyson is a good boxer, but is his own worst enemy, and all he needed was somebody to guide him in. And what the performance he put out there. So when you get into them big fights, you can't be learning on the fly. Do you understand? You need to have somebody who's experienced, and that's not having a dig at John Fuchs. He's not been in them big fights. You understand? He's like he's come into this situation with a ready-made fighter, and Kel's good, and Kel will get himself through these situations. But sometimes you need to, when you find yourself in a sticky situation, you need your corner to tell what you're doing. Really, all the work's done when you get into fight. You shouldn't be having to look round, a bit like Scott Quigg when he boxed Frampton. He was boxing to an orders, and he never really got let off the leash, did he? And they should have let him off a lot quicker. They thought they were in front and they weren't. So it comes down to a lot. But it's not a problem. We haven't fallen out. It's a case of logistics, really. I didn't have the time to be going out to Fortaventura because I couldn't take the whole camp I'm training for fights out there. They're saying, why do we need to go out there for Kell Brook? It's not like they needed to do it, but Kel needs to be away from Sheffield. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of people irritating him. And like I say, today on the scales he looks in good shape, he looks in a good place, and he'll know himself. He knows himself when he gets in that ring what to do. He'll have had a good look at this kid. His look is long and awkward. He's a tough kid, but Kel's been in with better kids than this, and it's one of them type of fights. What he does after this, who knows? Whether he's going to come back to the gym, he's going to stick with his team, he's going to get somebody else. Who knows? It's his choice. He's in the driving seat. He's paying the money. He picks his. He takes his pick.
As much as you say, Dom, there, best of luck to him, and there's no sort of bad blood. He didn't leave on any bad terms. If the partnership with Fuchs did not work out in the future, would the gym door still be open for him?
Even now, Kel's been in that gym a long time. He's been in that gym 20 odd years. You know what I mean? And in times before when he's left, even this time, he told me what we're going off. And when you go about it the right way, you're always welcome back in. Everybody knows him in the gym. He's been in that gym for a long time. We've had some good times, and it's like a second home to him. You know what I mean? So he'd never be turned away from that gym. It's always going to be open to Kell Brook. It's his choice at the end of the day. Like I said, there's no bad vibes. Everybody wishes him well. You can't wipe out. You can't fall out with people like Kell because it wipes out everything that you've done. Why would you want to do that? We've had a great time. There's been some great fights. We won a world title together. Been some great fights. Why? For what? Falling out for what? There's no point. So I've had people onto me on social media and everything else. Oh, you're a bit disturbed about it. No, it happens in boxing. I've picked up fighters. Jason Quigley came from Manny Robles. I got Billy Joe Saunders. He came from Jimmy Tibbs. So you can't have it one way and not the other. You're going to get fighters coming. You're going to get fighters leaving. As long as you realise that's what boxing is, you'll be all right. And like I say, I'm sure Kel's going to perform good on Saturday night. It's always great to have him back in Sheffield fighting. It's always a good night of boxing. It's a good build. There's some good fights. Anthony Fowler. There's some good fights to look forward to. So I think it's going to be a good night. I think Kel's going to put in a great performance, and hopefully that's going to springboard him into America and get into some big fights.
Tom, there's never been a time where you mention Kell Brook's name without mentioning the other, Amir Khan. There seems to be another sort of spanner in the works that's preventing the fight, and this time by Terence Crawford. So what do you think of that fight, and do you now think that Kell should now focus on his own career instead of chasing that fight?
I think, you know, although Kell's chasing, I think he's always known in the back of his mind, listen, I've always said about Amir Khan, you know, he's talked about beat Kell up in sparring when I'm an amateur. I remember that time when Kell came into the gym, I go, what do you reckon to him? He went, nothing. And Amir's, you know, fantasised about beating Kell up in sparring. He never beat Kell up in sparring. And if it was that easy, well, why ain't he boxing him and making an easy job of it? And he's always going to duck round Kell. He's better to get knocked out by Crawford in America, who's a big name, away from home, than getting knocked out by Brook in England in front of all his own fans. Do you understand? There's going to be an handful of fans go over to see him. Oh, it'll be on TV. But 100%, if he boxes Crawford, he's going to get done in. If he boxes Kell, he's going to get done in. But he's not going to give Kell the satisfaction of doing him in, is he? And that's where it comes down to. So I think finally now, people have realised with Amir Khan, you know, yeah, I'm going to fight Kell. Finally shown his true colours, and nobody in a million years is going to believe that he actually wanted to fight Kell in the first place, and he's proved it by going down the Crawford route.
They even shook hands at the Bellew fight, and Khan did say to him that next fight definitely it will be you.
Well, back in the olden days, the reason you shook hands with your right hand was to show that you've got no weapon in your hand, because that's how you used to fight. But Khan's done that with one hand, and in the other hand he's actually got a dagger behind his back. See, he can't be relying on a handshake, can you? Because it means nothing. And you know what they say, you know, a man's as good as his word. Well, he's not really, is he? So he's just kidding everybody. So, you know, hopefully Khan goes out there, gets his money, he'll get done in, and that'll be the end of him. He won't come back to Kell and say, well, let's have that fight now, because nobody will be interested.
Dominic Ingle, your phone's going, you're a busy man. I very much appreciate your time as always, so thank you very, very much. ASAD MALIK from Behind the Gloves.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. And we also have a free app available on iTunes and Google Play, so make sure you go and download that. Bye Fight fans.